like, man, how is your soul? You're pursuing all these things. You've climbed the corporate ladder, but how's your soul? And if your soul is hurting, if it's lost, if you're unsure, then what is all of that success worth? So
Yeah.
we help. That's the guys inside of the Brotherhood group. It is very well known. The foundation of what we do is your faith and is your relationship with God, because that is the only thing that matters. But I believe if we get that right, everything else will fall into place. We will continue to grow and to be the best CEOs, business owners, employees, whatever it is, husbands, all those things. Those things will also improve. But man, it's got to start with our faith.
Steph, you're a husband, you're a father, entrepreneur, coach, and so much more, man. You help lukewarm Christians, men, take their faith, health, and leadership way more seriously, man. I'm so honored to have you on the show, dude. Thank you for your time today, man.
Man, Erik, thank you, dude. I am pumped. I got to watch some of the stuff you've been doing, and man, it's an honor and a blessing to be on here with you and just talk and help some men get better, man. Let's do it.
Come on. Yeah, absolutely, dude. I like to kick. Looks like I lost video on there for you.
Sorry, who back?
All good. I don't see the video yet.
Let me check. Sorry about that.
No, you're good, man. We can do some editing here. It's all good, dude.
Let me replug it in. Webcam. Osmos. Well, if I have to switch cameras, I'll just do that.
Okay. Yeah. There we go.
Sorry
Looks like
about
you're
that.
back.
All right, we're ready.
Okay. Cool, man.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good, dude. I'll just edit that out. It won't even be an issue, man. So,
Okay.
I like to kick the show off by going back a bit. Like, where did you grow up, though, and what was childhood like for you?
Yeah, that's funny. That's my favorite question because I always tell people I had a great childhood. Like,
Nice.
I had a lot of friends. Their families were a big part of my life. Seems like all of my friends that I grew up with, we all played sports together, and it seems like their dads were our coaches for the different sports that we played.
Yeah.
So I grew up in St. Louis in South County, and sports were a big part of my life. Going to church was a big part of my life. Went to high school, played football, baseball, basketball, ran track. So again, sports being the theme of what I did.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, went to college. I went to Central Methodist University, played football and baseball there. And then I transferred and played football for 2 years at the University of Memphis. So
Okay.
After that, I met my, who is now my ex-wife. I met her there when I was there. Moved out to Columbia, Missouri, and really just been here ever since. I graduated in 2013, graduated college, and just kind of been in the health and fitness space ever since college was over. Not really having a direction of where I was going to go, what I was going to do with it. But slowly and surely, it just kind of kept progressing in the health and fitness space. And I've been coaching for a little over a decade. I've been coaching online for about 7 years. And that kind of led me, which I'm sure we'll get into it, but that kind of led me to where I'm at today, coaching men inside of what I call the Brotherhood group.
Yeah. Oh, man. I think, like, as we give our life to Jesus, we tend to have these defining moments afterwards where our eyes kind of open up and go, man, it's so good that I've stepped into this relationship. But, like, what was that defining moment for you in your walk with Jesus that transformed you, how you approach faith and family and leadership?
I love that. So I grew up in the church. So going to church Sunday mornings, Sunday nights, Wednesday nights for youth group. We went on mission trips twice a year down to Mexico. And that was basically my life. But what was interesting is I had my church group of friends that I would hang out with, during church times. And sometimes on like random weekends, but then I would have the group of friends that I was telling you about who I really grew up with and played sports with. So it felt like for a large part of my young life, I was, for lack of better terms, living two different ways.
Yeah.
Because how I would talk or act around one group of friends, I would do the opposite around the other group of friends. Not like to an extreme, but for the most part, there was a little bit of change there. And I, like every young kid, like I just wanted to fit in.
Totally.
Like I wanted people to like me. I wanted to have a lot of friends and all those things. So church was a big part of my life in that sense. But whenever I went to college, I kind of made this decision to just kind of not worry about church so much. And I call that was my season where I kind of definitely strayed away from the Lord.
Sure.
I just felt like all my friends who were successful or had cool things or had nice cars, I was just like, man, they don't seem like they're stressing about how they're living their life, but I am. Like, I'm over here making sure I try my best not to sin, or if I do, I feel bad.
Yeah.
So I just got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to kind of do what I want to do. I would say that led to a lot of destruction, a lot of challenges for sure, a lot of pitfalls,
Sure.
again, that we can get into here in a little bit. But overall, it was just a hard way to live. But to answer that was some backstory, right? But
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
answer the question, man, I fully gave my life to the Lord in April 3rd of 2024. Like, went all in.
Nice.
So which was
Come on.
very recently.
Dude, love it.
I went all in with that because, man, honestly, Erik, I got to the point where, dude, I was just exhausted. I was
Yeah.
living life my way, and I'm not joking when I say this. I was upstairs in my kitchen, home alone, sitting at my kitchen table working, and I felt the Lord say to me, Steph, you are living for yourself, and you have yet to live for me.
Yeah.
And it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and it was like a moment where I was just having this conversation with God. And I was like, okay, well, what does that mean? And I felt him say, well, where does this get you?
Yeah.
Where does this lifestyle lead to? And where it was leading wasn't great. And so I was like, it's not going to lead anywhere good. And then without a beat, I felt him say, it's time for you to surrender.
Yeah.
So, dude, I get down on my knees in my kitchen. I'm bawling. I took you ever see the social media pictures? It's mainly women, but where they take pictures of themselves like crying. Like,
Sure.
I did that
Yeah.
because I don't know why. I felt like that was the moment where I needed to remember. And I was bawling my eyes out, and I got down on my knees. I threw my hands up, and I was like, all right, Lord, like, I'm done. I'm done
Yeah.
doing this my way. I'm done living this lukewarm lifestyle. I'm not where I want to be. I'm not who I want to be. And I have 3 kids, man. So like being a good role model for them is very important to me. And I wasn't being that guy. So that was the moment where I say God rescued me. He called me to him. And I love the concept of him leaving the 99 to go get the one. And in that moment, like, I was the one.
Yeah.
And I'm so much better for it. Again, still have struggles, still have doubts and fears and things like that, but I'm so much better at giving those things to the Lord and not trying to handle everything myself.
Man, that's so powerful. What a amazing testimony. I remember that moment for myself, like after giving my life to Jesus in 2004. But like being in my ghetto apartment in Renton, Washington, like
Yeah.
literally on my knees, just booger crying, like
Yes.
feeling a relief and a weight off my shoulders, but also kind of feeling like the guilt and the shame start to come off, right? Like
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you know, give my life 20 years ago, but still struggle sometimes. Obviously, as men, we struggle with sin and we struggle with, those like doubts and fears come into our life. And that's when I have to go back to the Lord. But man, such a powerful testimony that you have there. I mean, you've always been, you're very fit and you're a very healthy guy. Like you've played sports all your life. Who was it that influenced you to kind of step into that coaching role?
Yeah. Probably initially my dad.
Okay.
I remember as a kid, my dad was a football coach. He was actually my coach in high school. He was my head coach, which you can imagine I always tell people the game never ended when the clock hit 0. Like, we were
Yeah.
still at home going back and forth. I was his quarterback. So, so that's how that went. But I would say initially him.
Yeah.
He was a coach. He was also a PE teacher. So in college, I thought I wanted to go down that route. So that was initially what my degree was in.
Gotcha.
But so after that, whenever I graduated, my ex's stepdad reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I got a good friend who is the manager at one of the gyms in town, and they're looking for trainers. Are you interested?" And I was just like, "Sure, I why not?" And
Yeah.
I had just recently got certified too. So I went in and I did my interview, and I will never forget this. I went into his office and I sat down at his desk, and he goes, "So you want to be a trainer?" And I go, "Yeah, I think it'd be something cool." He goes, "Sell me something." And I'm like, "Sell you what?" And he goes, "I'll buy ice if you got it. I don't care." So he had a pin on his desk, or it was a protein bar actually. So I
Yeah.
grabbed the protein bar and then I sold him the protein bar. And then
Come on,
after that, he goes, "You're hired."
dude.
But looking back, that was so important because in person, when you're a trainer, you got to sell.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be out there in person, building relationships, connecting with people, and getting them to want you to train them. So, yeah, that was my first experience with coaching, and then from there we just kept on going with it.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you impact a ton of people through your videos and the brotherhood that we'll get into, but like
Yeah.
what practical steps do you take to ensure your relationship with Jesus stays number one, like through the busyness of being a dad and an entrepreneur and all that stuff? Like, how do you keep that relationship tight?
I mean, it definitely came from that moment of surrender. I don't
Yeah.
think I would be doing that if it wasn't for that. So all praise to God on those fronts. But when it came to that, I realized again, that's why in my bio and all my content, I talk about helping men take their faith seriously.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to this, I think, and it was really just me, and I was just like, man, I can't be the only guy who struggles with this back and forth, this on and off, or this cycle of like sinning and then repenting, sinning and repenting.
Sure.
And so whenever I did surrender my life to the Lord, it was just a look in the mirror moment of like, okay, what does this all out lifestyle for Jesus look like? If
Right.
I'm going to take it seriously, like what does that look like? So for me, again, to answer your question, I'm like, man, I have to start my day off in the Word. Like
Mhm.
100%. I have to wake up early. I have to do it before my kids are up, before the day gets started, and that's well before the sun gets up.
Yeah.
And so that's my approach. And I have my quiet time. I sit on my exact spot on my couch every single morning with the lamp right next to me. Man, I just open the Bible and I start and I start reading, and
Yeah.
it's been life changing. I'm like the closeness that I've experienced to God is over this last not even a full year yet, over these last 10, 11 months it's been life changing. It's been
Yeah.
something again, being a guy who grew up going to church, what I am experiencing now as far as a relationship with God, I have never, ever experienced.
Mm.
And Romans 1:16 talks about being unashamed for the gospel.
Yeah.
And I am completely, fully unashamed of talking about Jesus, letting people know what he did. Cause it's just like, what I talk to my guys about is like, man, if we believe in Jesus, then to some extent we have to believe in heaven and hell, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And then so at that point, it's like, so we will go to one or the other,
Mhm.
right? And so for me, it's just like, well, I want to do everything that I can every single day to show Jesus that I am all in on him.
Yeah.
He already showed us that he's all in on us by sending his son to die for us. So yeah, I feel like that's the least I can do. And starting my day out in his word and in prayer, that's the way I kind of go about it, and it helps tremendously.
It's so important to do that. And for me, I'm a morning person as well. And so I get up typically between 3:30 and 4 a.m. every day.
Yep.
And so I get up and man, it's quiet time and spending time in the word and listening to worship and spending time in prayer. I actually had a pastor on probably 4 months ago that said he made a covenant with God that he wouldn't look at his phone for emails or social media or any of that until after he had that time with God. And I thought, man, that's a cool thing. Cause wake up, I'd be getting coffee, I'd be flipping through Instagram and go, oh man, I wish I had that, or I wish I'd had that.
Yes.
Right. And I start to
Yep.
get those comparative, thoughts in my head. And so I
Yep.
started implementing that same covenant with God and said, man, I'm not going to look at any of this until I've had my quiet time with you. That was a game changer for me,
Powerful.
to sit down and do that every morning and, not have to like put the emails ahead of God or the social media notifications, right? It was all just there. Um,
Yes.
as I was looking through your website, you have this thing called the P4 method, which is
Mhm.
awesome.
Yep.
But for those who don't know, what is the P4 method? How'd you come up with this?
Yeah. So again, being in the health and fitness space for a little over a decade, I have been a trainer. Then I've been a boot camp instructor. Then I've been a group fitness instructor. Then I coached CrossFit. Then I was a general manager at a CrossFit gym and the head coach. And then I ultimately, which was the goal at one point in my life, was to own a gym. So I owned a gym for 4 years. So everything in the health and fitness space I've done. I've helped people with
Wow.
nutrition. I've helped people diet down. I've helped them get ready for shows on stage, which is not my forte, but I mean, we figured it out,
Sure.
which was a long time ago. But so looking at health and fitness in a broad spectrum of ideals and processes and systems, what it came down to was my belief is health and fitness is not confusing,
Mhm.
right? It's not something that has to be very, very strict and specific. The way I kind of describe it to my guys is like the reason they're not where they want to be in their health and fitness is because they're doing everything opposite of what they should be doing. Meaning
Right.
they're eating foods that don't support a healthy lifestyle. They're not moving their body as frequently as they should. They're staying up late. They're stressed. They're not doing anything about their stress. So as we were developing this, again, I've coached people in macros, meal plans, all these things, which work. And there's definitely a time and place for those. But for someone who's looking to get healthy, it's just like, man, we got to eat high quality food, not processed food. We have to prioritize movement, getting outside, getting into the gym at a minimum of 3 days a week. I'm a big fan of lifting weights. I think that's crucial to that.
Sure.
We have to have good quality sleep, and we have to drink water. Like if we do those things, we as a country, we will be so much more healthier.
Totally.
So when the guys come in, we establish this P4 method, and the P stands for protocols. Okay. So when I talk to the guys, if and when they struggle, we just simply say, okay, with all the protocols that we have set in place, where are you lacking? Right? Because when people do struggle, that's like, oh, I got to start a new diet. I have to do a new workout plan, or this gym's not working. I got to go back to this gym. It's like, no. You're just not being consistent in the things that work. That's all it comes down to. So for the protocols, it's putting God first. It's having a health and fitness routine. So we give them a workout program to follow and a nutrition protocol to follow. It's having a morning routine, and it's having the evening routine, right? And there's specifics within the morning and the evening routine, but those 4 concepts are each of our protocols. And I know if the guys follow that consistently, they will see progress in their faith, in their health, and their fitness, and their mindset, and in how they're leading their families and people there that are around them.
Man, so good, dude. I love that. I'm a big fan of not letting our past dictate our future, nor other people's opinions, right? And I know I struggled with victim mentality for a long time, and I think that there's still men that do that. What's step one for men to break away from those chains of their past?
Man, that's so funny you say that, because a big concept we talk about is break the chains. Because I believe that we all, as men, humans in general, but men especially, we have chains that bind us. We have chains that hold us back from reaching our full potential and being the man we know we want to be. But we do need to break away from them. And I would say one of the things that we need to do is we need to not just be so cliche, but we need to get familiar with being uncomfortable. And in one of the main areas we need to do that, I would say the one of the things that impacts men the most is who they spend their time with, right? In work, their friends, a lot of the guys I work with, it's like, man, I run around with the same people that I've known since high school, and we all talk about the same things. We all do the same things. It's gossip, it's talking about women, and all that's okay in that circle. And I was just like, well, if you're going to change, you need to get out of that circle, right? So encouraging these guys to get used to being uncomfortable, because as you know, waking up at, like you said, waking up at 3-4 a.m., that's not comfortable.
Right.
Like that's not something you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to wake up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
No, but it is what is necessary in order to separate yourself from the people who are just living an average life. So I would say the number one thing is learning to be uncomfortable, especially when it comes to social environment and experiences.
Would you say that also kind of would play into like the greatest challenge that lukewarm Christian men are experiencing today? Like that not getting uncomfortable and just being content of where they're at?
Yeah, I'm laughing because I literally had a conversation. Everybody who follows me on my Instagram, I always shoot them a message and I let them know I appreciate their time, because attention and time is one of the most valuable things in people's lives. So the fact that someone's taking time out of their day to look at my Instagram or to follow me, it means a lot. So I always reach out to them personally. And I was in this conversation with this guy going back and forth, and he openly admitted that he's not where he wants to be. He wants to improve. And I'm at the point in my business now where it's like I try to be really efficient with these conversations, because I know when men are ready to change, they're ready.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not trying to convince you to change. I'm just trying to give you an opportunity to admit, hey, yeah, I'm ready for some change. What do we got to do to make that happen? And I was talking to this guy and I was just like, dude, like, are you content with where you're at, or do you want to change? And he said, I'm content. And I just liked the message. And I'm not joking you. Maybe 20 minutes go by and he messages me again and he says, well, I mean, I would like some routine and some accountability, because it's like right there. I'm just like, it's comfortable to say you're content. It's
For
comfortable not to change. But when you let that sit and you're just like, man, so am I just really going to continue my life like this? Like, you don't want that. You don't want to be the man that's not leading his family. You don't want to be the man that's setting a bad example for his kid. Like, I know the guys listening to this, if they're not where they want to be, I know they don't want that. But it takes being uncomfortable and admitting, like, I've been content for way too long, and it's time for me to make some changes.
Man, such a like a wake up call, dude. Like
Yeah.
for men. And I remember being in this. I was at a conference in California, and I've told the story many times. But like, met a guy down there named Kelly Cardenas. He's a Christian guy. He said, "Let's go watch the sunrise on the beach and read our Bibles." And I was like, "Heck yeah, dude!" So we go down there. And at this time, I was at this event where there was 50 people, 49 were millionaires. I was the one that was not. But like,
Yep.
I was like, I want to be like those guys. I want to be a full time entrepreneur so bad.
Yep.
And I'm just like expressing this to Kelly on the beach, and he looks over at me and he goes, dude, those are all great business people and they all got a bunch of money, but how many of them have great marriages? And I just went, oh, my
Facts.
priorities are all wrong. Like that was this wake up call for me to go, man, I got to start putting my faith in God more. I got to start prioritizing my family more.
Yeah. I mean, it's the shiny object syndrome, right?
Yeah, totally.
Seeing what people have, and that's one of the dangers. I love social media. I think there's a lot of positiveness to it.
Yeah.
But one of the downfalls is just comparison. Like, we look at what people have, but we don't, as Christian men anyways, we don't put that into context of like, okay, but where are they at with their walk with the Lord?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are they leading their wife? How is their, like you just said, like, how is their marriage? How's their relationship? How's their relationship with their kids? And I'm a big fan of success too. Like, I'm trying to grow one of the biggest faith-based personal development programs that there ever was. That's my mission. And I know that comes with a lot of responsibility. I know that comes with financial blessings. But I also understand that comes with impact. So I don't have anything against striving to be successful.
Sure.
However, one of the pastors I love to listen to, which he's up in the Northeast area. I don't know if you've heard of him, Judah Smith.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So he wrote a book called How's Your Soul? Right. And so
Yep.
it's just like, man, how is your soul? You're pursuing all these things. You've climbed the corporate ladder, but how's your soul? And if your soul is hurting, if it's lost, if you're unsure, then what is all of that success worth? So we help. That's the guys inside of the Brotherhood group. It is very well known. The foundation of what we do is your faith and is your relationship with God, because that is the only thing that matters. But I believe if we get that right, everything else will fall into place. We will continue to grow and to be the best CEOs, business owners, employees, whatever it is, husbands, all those things will also improve. But man, it's got to start with our faith.
So powerful, man. Yeah, Judah Smith, man. I've never actually seen that guy in person. My wife actually was a pastor and at our church when I met her, and she spoke on the same stages with him way back in the day.
Oh,
so it was,
love Judah. Love Judah. I've never seen him in person either, but
yeah,
I've been a big fan of his for a while.
I want to get into your brotherhood because this is awesome. Like, what are dudes going to experience when they join the brotherhood, man?
They're going to experience community. They're going to experience love, and they're going to experience, I think, the Lord in a way that they've never experienced. I'm just thinking of one guy off the top of my head. I won't use his name because I'm just respect everybody's privacy. But there's a guy who was like, Steph, I want to stop drinking. I want to stop smoking, and I want to stop taking Adderall. And this was a daily thing for him. One of those three were daily things for him. And he had a bachelor party coming up, and he signed up with us in October, and his bachelor party was actually this past weekend in January. And he was like, man, I got this bachelor party coming up with all my buddies. I don't really want to go and drink, but like, hopefully, like, I'll make some progress from now until then. And I go, no. What do you want to do? Like, when you go to that bachelor party, who do you want to be? And he said, I don't want to drink. And I said, okay, well, you're not going to. You need to make that decision right now. So to answer your question even more in depth, like, clarity. I think men are missing clarity in their life, and they look for it in all the wrong areas. And they, again, going back to like wanting to fit in, not wanting to be uncomfortable. But man, I believe when you're around the right group of guys, especially for, this men's group concept that we're talking about, you have a more opportunity to be clear in who you want to be. And we eliminate distractions. So, but I'm really big on community. I don't know if you're familiar with First Form. So I'm an athlete for First Form. I've been with First Form since 2015, but just establishment of community and togetherness that they have created is something that I'm trying to continue to implement inside of my group. And man, when you're a man going through things and you don't feel alone, it's powerful. It's powerful. So
So huge, man. And I think it's so important to have a men's group, a men's Bible study, something that a man can go to just for that accountability, but also just for that to grow in community and friendship. And it was the weirdest thing. And we went to a church for a while. We were up here in Idaho and went there, and we stopped in after a few times, and we asked the pastor, like, "Hey, do you guys have any men's pastors?" "Oh yeah, we have 4." "Great. What men's groups do you have?" "We actually don't believe in men's groups. We think it's just an excuse for people to check a box." And I'm like, that is the weirdest thing, man. Jesus was like the ultimate men's group leader. Like, you should be following that example. Like, and it was just like, was mind blowing, man. For you, like on your journey through with Jesus, since you've really like surrendered to him, what's been the greatest lesson that you've learned so far over that journey?
Your past is my favorite quote. Your past is a place to learn from, not a place to live in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So powerful.
I'm blanking on the reference in the Bible, but just talking about where the old has gone and the new has come. I clinged on to my past mistakes for so long. And the way that again, going back to being unashamed of the gospel, that shows up on at least I hope it shows up on my Instagram now. But man, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago and beyond, that wasn't what you saw when you came to my Instagram, because I would let what I've done and mistakes I've made or how I lived in the past dictate what I was currently doing or who I wanted to be. So if I wasn't acting that out, if I wasn't being that person, then nothing internally was going to change.
Yeah.
So understanding that, man, God forgives, God loves, God's grace is sufficient and enough. It's nothing that I've done. It's everything that he has done. And leaning into that truth has really helped me just let my past be my past and move forward and be the man that I know he's called me to be.
Dude, Steph, I actually love this conversation, man. There's so many men that are going to get impacted by this conversation. I hope they go and join your brotherhood, man. And look, guys, just listeners, I want you to know that I followed Steph, and then he immediately reached out to me. He says and does what he says he's going to do, man. And so he's an awesome dude to follow. You need to go catch up with him and follow him on Instagram, follow all his channels, join his brotherhood, man. Steph, thank you for your time, dude. It's truly an honor to have you on the show, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for what you're doing and putting the word out there. And I think it's awesome. I know God's going to continue to bless it and bless you. So I'll keep praying for that. But man, this was fun. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for checking out the show today. Look, I want you to stay connected with everything this guest has to offer. So make sure that you sign up for my weekly newsletter. I'm not here to spam you. I'm here to just send you all the behind the scenes videos, shorts, reels from this week's guest, plus some other bonuses on there. So make sure that you hit connect below this video in the description, or go to my website and sign up right there on the homepage, and I'll make sure that you stay in the loop. Thanks so much again. Have an awesome day. Keep changing the world.